welcome to Spoilers. Today we are going to be talking about Castlevania Season 3. Such an amazing animated series. Today I have Mikey and Pappy with me, and let's just go around and say where you're recording from and what your initial thoughts are on Season 3.
I'm Mikey. I'm recording from quarantine, lockdown, Goshen, Indiana. Thoughts on Season 3? I think it's overall pretty good. I think the beginning is a little slow, but we get some really cool story arcs, and I like it a lot. I mean, I love the show. What do you think, Pap?
Yeah, this is Pappy, recording from Louisville, Colorado. I liked Season 3. More of kind of like what we talked about in Season 2, but I noticed that like Netflix now has like rankings for their shows. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, It's like number 1 in the country or number such and such in the world, yeah.
And like Castlevania is top 10 in the US, and I feel like, Stevie, like when we started doing these episodes 3 years ago, nobody had heard of Castlevania. Like it's come a long way as far as popularity.
Thanks to us.
What was Season 1? Only 4 episodes?
4 episodes, like 20 minutes each.
Yeah, it was just like a prologue, really. Wasn't a full season.
I feel like the show has come such a long way, too. I don't know if you guys felt this way or not. I mean, this season overall is really great, but did this kind of feel like a filler season? Like, not a lot of questions answered?
Yeah, that's kind of my feelings towards it. I mean, this is, for our main characters at least, it's kind of just a mini arc. I don't know, maybe towards the end game of maybe like the last 2 episodes, there's maybe some stuff that will lead into Season 4, but overall, I mean, it's just kind of like a side story for Belmont and Sypha.
Mm-hmm. And not to jump too far ahead, but it feels like the main thing that happened is Alucard is now like kind of bad again, right? And it feels like everyone else just needed something to do in the meantime, kind of.
Do you think Alucard's gonna like turn against humanity? Because I mean, to jump into kind of the threesome that almost ended in his death, those scenes were kind of intense. I don't know. I mean, I really wasn't vibing at all with, like, those two were brother and sister, right?
Were they?
I believe that was the implication. Was that they
were. That's what made that scene, like, even weirder.
The 2 Japanese people, right?
Yeah, 2 Japanese people. It was just kind of, I don't know, I really wasn't vibing at all with his story arc of, like, teaching them, like, the magic of vampires and stuff like that. It really didn't end anything besides, like, their death.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it on the Season 2 episode, because I went back and listened to those to get ready to watch this, and we said that there's some like pacing issues in that season. I think there's like one episode this season where literally all Alucard does is like catch a fish and like make it and like eat it, and that's like his whole arc in the episode. Like, his story moves super slowly compared to the other ones.
Yeah, but I think like you said, Pep, the main takeaway is that Alucard is basically the new Dracula at the end, because he puts those two brothers and sisters on a pike in front of his house, and he's kind of even says something about his dad Dracula,
just like Daddy Deadest used to do, or something.
I was kind of hoping Alucard was going to run back into Belmont and Sypha to kind of like unite the team again, but that never happened because Trevor and Sypha were stuck in this really strange town the entire season. Pap, what was going on there? It's a really weird town.
Yeah, it just has one of my favorite new characters that we've gotten, Saint Germain.
He's awesome.
I think was his name.
Mr. Saint Germain.
Just Saint Germain, please.
You're not a mister?
I most certainly am not.
What are you then?
Many things, young lady, many things.
I don't know, it almost becomes... It took a sci-fi turn in kind of a lot of ways, because, I mean, it's very much going back to the Season 1 roots, where there's a group of religious people who have, like, sort of assumed the church. They seem to be Satan-worshipping, though, but, like, the main thing for Saint Germain is that, like, portal thing underneath the church. And how sick was that, like, tripping sequence or whatever? I think it was like episode 5 or 6 that he goes through
when he's going through the door or whatever kind of door that we were talking about.
That was amazing.
I think it was super cool. It also leads to a lot of different places they can go in future seasons, which in my mind is why they put that in there. Because, it finished the story, obviously, but it also opened up like a ton of different ideas and branches to go off of in the next season, which is where I think Belmont and Sypha are going to go.
A lot of people are saying on the internet it's going to like be a video game crossover universe with Devil May Cry. I don't know if you guys have played that.
Wait, they think what?
So they're going to make a Devil May Cry show?
This is from CBR.com. Netflix's Castlevania Season 3 creates gaming's first cinematic universe. They think there's a bunch of Easter eggs that's going to be a crossover with Devil May Cry and possibly Assassin's Creed 2 at some point.
That would be amazing.
That would be sick.
If they could actually pull it off, that would be incredible.
I just feel like video games are so suited for the television format. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way, like, this whole standalone story thing, it reminds me of, like, The Mandalorian, how we talked about how that felt like a video game, but, like, it just feels like a level. You know what I mean? It's just a chapter in the story, and I'm so okay with it.
Yeah. I love it a lot, too. All of those IPs that you just listed there, I mean, those all sound like they would be really cool standalone shows on their own, or even expanded upon this universe. That would be really cool. But what we have now with just this Castlevania show, I mean, I think it's really fun to see where they're going with it. And I mean, it's pretty dark on its own. What did you guys think about how gruesome it got this season?
It's I mean, this show has always been incredibly gruesome, which is one thing I really like about it, especially when Sypha is like ripping people in half, and also kind of the gruesomeness of when kind of one of our, I guess you can call him a forger, Isaac, is just roaming through the world killing person after person, and also questioning like the existence of humanity. It's, I mean, the one episode I think everybody really liked is when there was just that giant ball of people that was kind of under a horde. You know what I mean?
That was amazing. And like it starts shooting like piles of bodies at him as like missiles.
I mean, the animation in this show is incredible. And I actually I really want to see where Isaac's character is going to go after all this, just because I feel like he was wrestling with his arc the entire time. But the one thing I didn't love was kind of the role of his opposite, which was Hector, where he was just slaved away the entire season, like with little to nothing to do.
They were like the familiars of Dracula. I don't really remember where they were.
They were the ones that would they were like forgers that would create new dead demons.
Forge masters or whatever.
Forge masters, yeah.
But they have to kill people and then like turn them into. So they're regular people that have been turned into demons or whatever.
I don't know. I just don't think Hector was given a whole lot to do, which was frustrating, besides be a pawn in the following season.
How awesome was that second to last episode, though, where you have like the climax fight at the church, cutting back and forth between the ball of people, cutting back and forth between the threesome, and then Hector like begging that one vampire chick. They were all new too, right? Those vampires? The sisters or whatever?
Besides for Carmilla, I think so. Yeah, they were all new, and you're right, Pap. That was just crazy when everything was hitting its climax in the entire season at that episode. The one character I haven't brought up yet is who's kind of the somewhat mayor of the crazy town that Belmont and Sypha go to?
The judge?
Yeah, so he's kind of hard to read the entire season. And Mikey, he kind of has a disturbing backstory at the end, if you want to get into that.
Yeah, I guess if you're paying attention, I mean, they leave clues, I guess, for you. Like, they kind of go through a montage of the judge saying some kind of maybe off-putting things about the town or how much control he has about it. But he's been leading people through the forest to get to an apple tree, which he'll either promises like, oh, you can have some apples, or this way to escape the town or something. But he just leads them that direction, and they end up falling into a pit, and it's kind of his own justice plan or something for anybody who's like just bothering him in the town. Apparently he's killing all sorts of people,
including kids that are just being kids.
Yeah, just running in the town will get you this punishment. Apparently is his justice that he likes to lash out against everybody. So
what I didn't understand though is like, why is he saving the shoes? You know what I mean? Like, because he's like, burned down my house, which I have a standing order. If anything happens to me in this coronavirus, destroy my laptops. But like, he says,
I have a standing order.
He says, burn down my house, and then so Sypha and Trevor go to investigate, and they find like that room full of shoes. Were those like souvenirs that he was keeping?
I think it was kind of like a souvenir type thing.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to take away that he's just pretty much a murderer. He's not any sort of political judge or anything in that sort of sense. He's just a psychotic, evil person. I don't know.
And I'll say this too, like, I said that Alucard had like the main arc, but like Trevor and Sypha, like, in the first episode, I don't know if you guys remember that, they have kind of like...
They're in a rut.
Well, they have like a mini like battle where like they like... she like, calls him her like stupid servant or something, like who's obsessed with beer. And they lure out those monsters and they just fucking destroy them. And they're like having such a good time. Like by the end, they're like really down about everything they just saw. You know what I mean? Like no one's really a good guy. Like there are things beyond our control. Like they've kind of taken a turn for the worst too.
That, and like I really enjoyed Trevor's arc in this for the fact that he was kind of in a rut the whole season, also wrestling with what he wanted out of life.
He just wants beer.
I feel like all these characters are wrestling with it. I mean, he's been alone and ostracized his entire life, and he has someone that like loves him dearly, and I don't think he really understands like how to work with that. And so there was episodes going back and forth where, do I want this life? Do I not want this life? And you're right, by the end, you really didn't get an answer to that question because they did seem really down.
Sypha did not like that he said beer was better than sex.
The sex.
All right, can we all admit that Sypha is like the best freaking character on the show? She's so cool.
Easily.
So awesome.
And all of her like magic destroying demon stuff. She has some really awesome scenes of just like slicing up demons left and right. It's really cool to see.
The one scene I thought the animation was incredible where she like puts that ice disc through everybody, where it's like bouncing off to monster after monster and ends up cutting the one monster in half against the wall.
Those ice discs are cool a couple of times because she builds like a wall around Saint Germain too. At one point, it's like blocking, and then all of a sudden like shoots up in the air and like tears apart one's wings. It's really cool.
Yeah, that was sick.
I really hope that I hope they're working on it now. Like if we don't get a Castlevania season 4, I kind of hope we get a Saint Germain like portal hopping through time show.
He's too good of a character to not bring back, right?
Way too good. I think he was like one of the shining parts of this entire season.
I think there's definitely going to be a season 4, and I think they left that open because he's chasing someone through a portal. He's
his wife, right?
Yeah, it looks like he's chasing a woman. I would assume it's his wife, but I think that's leaving it open for something pretty crazy next season because we also saw Vlad. We saw Dracula in one of the portals too. So I don't know if they're planning on bringing him back, which would be crazy. Like maybe they bring back Dracula to take down Alucard because Alucard might be crazy next season.
That's what I was kind of thinking too, to like set things right.
Yeah, that'd be a twist.
It's like these two are constant squabbling about who's going to destroy the world and who's going to save the world.
We haven't seen like a fully formed badass Dracula since like season 1 either. But like to go back to that tripping sequence, like how awesome was that? Like that shot of like Africa. And all of a sudden there's like these like mech warrior things walking around. Like this artistic team, all we've seen them do is like stylized horror of like Eastern Europe, like medieval fantasy. Like when we see them draw other stuff, it's like, holy shit, they're just so fucking good at everything they do. I want to see them do everything. Yeah,
it's a really cool animation studio. I think it's called Powerhouse or something like that, but I think they have another Netflix show. I haven't seen it, but they seem to be pretty popular. I mean, I like how they draw and stuff, so they have really good action too.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited at the idea of Castlevania and Devil May Cry crossing over. because the art looks exactly like identical throughout the video game and shows.
And pretty similar story, right? I mean, they're fighting demons. It's just Devil May Cry is like they have guns and stuff.
Yeah, 2 pistols with unlimited ammo.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Let me think here. Is there any storyline you guys want me to touch on other than the ones we've covered? Alucards, I mean, I enjoyed watching Isaac. Hector is now a slave to that vampire, right?
Yeah, because he wore the ring or whatever, the loyalty ring.
I thought she was trying to make a baby with him and then kill him. And then just have like a baby Forge Master or something.
A baby Forge Master. Hector's so dumb, but I mean, if she's pretty, she's pretty, I guess. I think that's kind of what the show was getting at, was he's just blinded by how hot she was, so.
Yeah, a very horny season.
So what is like the vampire sisters' goal?
I don't know. I feel like they were going back. I couldn't really follow it. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I think they're trying to do what Dracula was trying to do, except keep some people alive so they can live forever.
So they can eat?
Yeah. They still want to wipe a bunch of people out, but they want
to hoard humans and
Yeah.
have them breed. Mm-hmm. So they can live forever, I guess.
Yeah, she kept talking about like these corridor countries, and it sounded like they were going to set up a pen or something. But if we're like setting up for like a battle of 3 armies, like Alucard, Trevor, and Sypha, and the Vampire Sisters, that'd be a pretty fun season 4, especially if we throw in some Devil May Cry in the mix.
Yeah, do you guys have any ideas of where this goes in season 4? I mean, this season 3 I thought was really cool with its sci-fi, especially with like the alien taking over the church, and as well as kind of that dream wormhole that Saint Germain kept trying to get into. Mm-hmm. You guys have any ideas?
Well, like I said, I think they're bringing Dracula back, and I think they're going to fight Alucard. And I'm hoping it's a little more Trevor and Sypha centered this next season. It was kind of just more evenly spread out a lot, but I just love Trevor and Sypha so much. They're really fun to watch, and they always have awesome action scenes, so I want to see more of them.
We need to see Isaac like fold into the story somewhat. You know what I mean? Like his story.
He was kind of wayward, wasn't he?
Like, I mean, I like the stuff like when he was talking with that pirate guy, and I thought there was like some interesting like thematic stuff where like he gets shit on by a bunch of people, and then he's like finds a good person. You know what I mean? So he's kind of seeing both sides of humanity. But like, I just don't know enough about him or care enough about him to take away from Trevor and Sypha. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to like consolidate with one of the other stories so I can get more Sypha time.
Do you think it'll be easier if they just bring all the characters like into the same fold? Like, because I feel like I love this season, but it kind of suffered for what Game of Thrones did. Like, after seasons like 5, really, which is hop throughout every episode, and still, instead of just having like single character arced episodes.
Honestly, this whole series is kind of gone in a way that I didn't think it would. I don't know much about the games because I haven't played them, but I thought we were going to have way more Dracula. Like, we're still fighting Dracula or something, but he's obviously dead, and there's way more characters that are threats than you would think there would be. I mean, there's a lot of different enemies that we end up haven't even meeting yet, or haven't fought yet, or just lots of people haven't met up yet. So, I mean, there's a lot of different branching stories for what would essentially be, you would hope, just Trevor and Sypha fighting a bunch of stuff, a bunch of monsters every episode, but that's not the case. It's more dramatic this way, though.
And Warren Ellis has written every single episode of the show, and we're up to like 22 episodes now. So I mean, I feel like we pretty much know what we're going to get out of him, and like no matter what, next season there's going to be at least 2 or 3 episodes where he's just totally slow dicking it. You know what I mean? Where like whatever happens, the big final battle isn't going to be next year. You know what I mean? I guess is what I'm trying to say. You're going to get an episode where everyone's just kind of sitting around talking, at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll get Dracula back for season 4, but I think season 5, which will probably be its final season, that's when Dracula, I think, will come back like into the main fold early. So probably end of season 4 next year, I think Dracula and his wife Lisa will be back like in the main fold. Or at least I hope.
Hopefully we don't have to wait 2 years for that.
Hopefully not. I mean, these shows look incredible, so I can understand why it takes so long.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else?
Would you still call this the best video game adaptation, and what do you think the odds are that Last of Us will dethrone it?
Oh man, with all the corona going around right now, Last of Us will be very topical, I think. But Craig Mazin wrote a pretty good show called Chernobyl, so I think this will be the best until Last of Us comes through. Because Last of Us has such a good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty hard to top the money of HBO to make that thing. I'm gonna guess that's gonna be HBO's best show of all time.
That'd be so awesome.
Or at least the most hyped. It could be the biggest failure, but it'll definitely be the most hyped HBO show of all time.
I love that. Well, tell you what, let's go around and see. Tell me where you'd rank the season so far. Okay. Mikey, I'll start with you.
I think season 2 is probably my favorite season. And then this season, and then I'm not even going to call it a season 1. It's basically a prologue. It's only like 3 or 4 episodes long. But I really love season 2 because I love the Dracula fight at the end. But this final climax in this season was also pretty sweet. Trevor whips out double whippy boys. He's
so awesome.
he's whipping those things all over the place. And I love watching him just get the absolute shit beat out of him. And Sypha never gets hit. And she's destroying stuff. And Trevor is just getting his ass kicked all the time, which is fun to see. So I love this season just as much as any other. But that's how I'd rank them, probably.
Yeah, I'll go 3 is probably my favorite. I just love like the psychedelic, like trippy stuff that we got that we talked about. Then probably 1, just because like Steve, when you first told me about this show, I thought I'd be totally out, but like that 4 episode quick arc like is the thing that hooked me. But 2 is still really good.
I told you.
Like on a yes or no scale, like all 3 seasons would be like hard yeses. I'm so glad that we're talking about this show.
Thanks to us, it's a hit.
I'll go with 3 as my favorite, just because these last battle scenes were absolutely incredible. Like episodes probably, let me think here, 9 and 10, The Harvest and Abandon All Hope were just so much fun to watch. Then I go season 1, which is what initially hooked me, and I think it was who was the villain in season 1, Pep?
The
bishop?
The bishop guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the bishop.
Yeah, the bishop. He was such a good villain, which is also what I think the next seasons were somewhat lacking. Because Dracula was such a fun anti-hero to watch in season 1. But I would go 3, 1, 2, and I'm with you guys. Every season is just absolutely dynamite and fun to watch, so super pumped to get to a season 4, hopefully, and also with a Devil May Cry crossover or Assassin's Creed. Yeah. Would be a whole lot of fun to watch, but yeah, anyway, thanks for listening to us talk about Castlevania for a little bit and taking time out of your lives. Anything else coming down the line, Pap?
Our Fast and Furious series races on. We got Fast 5 and more coming up, as well as 2 more punishment episodes from Mikey. He pays the toll on an Antichrist episode, and then we're all going to get together to record a Last Airbender episode, which will be out probably by the end of March.
Decent. Well, thanks for listening, and that was Spoilers.